Welcome to First Glance with Jody Vance. This is an opportunity for people to get a first look at emerging companies about to hit big on a trajectory that could be perfectly timed for your investment dollar. We're trying to open up markets and awareness on these companies to people who maybe haven't invested before, maybe are intimidated by the expensive suit and pocket square set. Not that there's anything wrong with an expensive suit. We love them. You just don't have to wear one in order to invest and make money on companies that are growing and at an opportunity moment. And one of those companies is Heritage Cannabis. And the CEO is with us now. Clint Sharples is on the line. Thanks for doing this, Clint.
Hey, Jody, thanks for having me. I'm glad I didn't wear a suit.
You're right? You would have been in trouble, dude.
Feeling like better about this now.
It's a prerequisite on First Glance with Jody Vance. It's more like a hangout at the coffee shop. And, we just sit down and we talk through the story of your business and how you got involved in your business. And yours is Heritage Cannabis. The stock symbol, important, is CANN. There's an easy one to remember, Heritage Cannabis. Tell us a little bit about the heritage and the impetus, the origin story, I guess, of Heritage Cannabis.
Yeah, sure. It's funny. A lot of people got into cannabis. A lot of CEOs got into cannabis because of a long history of being a cannabis supporter and looking for ways, pushing for legalization. And they're great people that have been behind this entire industry. I'm not one of them. So if you're expecting a great story there isn't one. What I am is I'm a builder of companies. Heritage will be my fifth company that I've built. My business partners and I, we get into companies that look like they have a great runway, a great opportunity for growth, generally need money and management. We don't do one without the other. We don't invest blindly without being involved. So we got involved, and I got involved in a public company, public shell at the time, with a guy that I've done a few deals with before and quite successfully. And we backed a lady in the Okanagan Valley who was an applicant in cannabis. This was going back 6 years ago now. Wow. And cannabis was just one of those things like, hey, it's going to be legal someday. And we decided to back it. The market's been through an unbelievable roller coaster ride of the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. You used to ride the waves with it, but after a while, it just becomes background noise while you're building a business. And that's what we've been doing over the past 5 years, and things have accelerated a lot in this past 12 months for us as we're bringing our own products to market, as well as expanding where we're selling it, expanding the amount of SKUs we have, doing some acquisitions, expanding our capacity. In general, just again, looking at building a good, strong company for a long-term future.
I like that. I love a long-term vision in a time where, as you've mentioned, particularly in cannabis, it's all about the quick hit. How do we make our money and then get out? This sounds to me like a larger vision. So being your fifth company, let's go back to where you started there. What criteria did this meet? What criteria did Heritage meet for you, or in the creation of it? Why this woman in the Okanagan? Why this one?
Well, her in particular, her passion for it. She has a long history in cannabis, and she really wanted to do the work. We were there to support with fundraising and helping where needed with a public company. As a private company, it was difficult to raise money, really, really hard. As you say, there's a lot of shareholders out there that are, long-term investment means they bought it at 10 o'clock in the morning and are looking to get out of it by noon.
Yeah.
So, and that was all right. So as we built it, her name's Deborah Sanger. She got us our license to grow, which oddly enough, we decided about that time we weren't going to grow. There's just way too much capacity coming on the market. So we pulled back from the growth for the grow aspect and decided to pivot, move into extraction and get into creating the oils, the vape cartridges, the tinctures, and that's when we ended up acquiring a company called Pure Pharma out of Kelowna. There was a link, a connection that they all knew each other, and I'd love to say that was great planning on my behalf as CEO to bring on this group of people who are just incredible at what they do. But it was pure luck. They came in. These guys have who are doing our extraction have a way of doing things that's proprietary to what they've done for years prior when it wasn't legal.
Right.
But their learnings have been incredible. Their dedication to quality of the product is just admirable. And we put out great products, and we're proud of the products we put out. And so far, the uptake in the market in the past 6 months or so that we started selling our own brands has been strong. Look no further than BC. You guys
No kidding. Indeed. Heritage Cannabis is the name of the company, stock symbol CANN. Clint Sharples is the CEO. And it's interesting when you're talking about the extraction of oils and the cartridges and the tinctures and the demand really for quality in BC. Like you, I'm more of a spectator. I'm a little bit tentative. I've talked about that before. If you could tell me that tincture could be the equivalent of the glass of wine, I might have the tincture instead of the wine. And that's where we're headed. And that's where, for dry January, we're seeing the government stores lined up all over the Lower Mainland anyway, because dry January means no drinking of alcohol. It doesn't mean no consumption of that cannabis product, whether it be a tea, a tincture, an oil, or what have you. And so that's where the relevance and the credibility behind the product really comes into play. And if I'm hearing you properly, that's the center of your business model. Is that right?
Well, you know what? It's a lot of it's depending on what you would like to get out of this yourself. If you want to buy some of our product and go have yourself a fun weekend and get wrecked, we have products for that. However, at the same time, there's a lot of people out there who use cannabis for medical reasons.
Right.
And you're getting into the CBD, CBG, CBN. We have a ton of products with that address those. Our by far our best-selling tincture is called Nightfall, and Nightfall with people who need it for sleep. I have people that are sending me because it sells out in 48 hours. We ship it,
Really?
and they're gone. Yeah.
Okay, I want to try that. As somebody who struggles with sleep, you had me at Nightfall. I'm like, wait a minute. Now I'm in. Yes.
Right, we'll get you some Nightfall and give it a try.
I'll give you a testimonial. I'll let you know how it goes for me. And I'm the straight shooter. This is who I am. Why I do this job is because I want to find out about these companies. And it really is relevant and I think important to investors to know the people behind the brands, and knowing that it is local for us in BC and in Canada for that matter. Also quite important, I guess, when it is such a busy and noisy sort of industry right now, as you mentioned off the hop. And so in a cannabis industry that is so notorious for companies that are putting up big losses right now, how close is your company, how close is Heritage to being profitable?
Very. One of the benefits, I suppose, of me coming into a public company with my background being in private entities, I'm a fundamentals person.
Right.
To me, it's you got to build a foundation. You need to build a company based on operational efficiencies, based on real, true sales that have profit margins in them. Spending more than you make is a wrong approach to running a company. I get it when you're building one,
right?
But you know what? So our year end is October 31st, so we'll be releasing financials at the end of February. So our Q4, we're not expecting profitability in Q4 or in Q1, but we think we'll be bumping up against it into Q2 potentially, and then for the rest of this year, as if the trajectory keeps going where it is, and our sales are meeting our expectations, yeah, we'll be a true EBITDA positive company, and cannabis is notorious for putting out adjusted EBITDA. I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sure what that is. I got a background in accounting. I still don't know what the
Still
adjusted
don't
part
know.
is, but we'll be a true EBITDA positive company with positive cash flows. That is absolutely our goal. Above everything else you're doing as a company, you can't keep bleeding. However, we do have some growth, and growth costs money.
Yeah.
So we're doing a fundraise right now. We're just completing it as we speak. Hopefully today or tomorrow we'll get our final thumbs up from the OSC so we can move forward, and then we'll put somewhere around $13-ish million into our treasury so that we can continue the growth pattern we're on.
We are with Clint Sharples, who is the CEO of Heritage Cannabis. Again, the stock symbol, your ticker is CANN. I want to talk a little bit about what you've applied to sell in terms of flower and pre-rolls. And so expanding beyond those extracts and oils and tinctures that you were speaking about, and also some exciting news about selling to the US market that seems to be growing by the day, the opportunities there for Canadian cannabis.
Yeah. So U.S. massive. Anyone who's ignoring the U.S. in cannabis is destined to have not a failure by any means. Canada's cannabis market is going to be robust, but it'll be limited. So you need to access the world's largest market in just about any industry you're in, and cannabis is no different. We right now with our medical division is taking a real hard charge at putting out topicals, CBD, soft gel caps, and there's a lot of it. The market's fairly saturated when it comes to CBD down in the States. And I got to say, there's a lot of suspect product down there too. My opinion only. There'd be a lot of people.
You're allowed to have opinions here on First Glance with Jody Vance.
Perfect.
I'm totally down with that. I want to know what you know so that we can tell people what we think. That's what we're rooted in here. Like, educate us on, we do see some products out of the border. I will say, it's like, here, try this sparkling water that has CBD. It's $12 a can. And I'm like, well, where does it say how much and where and what? Oh, it's in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? There are a lot of people look at things like the CBD and they say all CBD is the same. I had a doctor tell me that when I was getting my medical prescription. It was a nurse practitioner. Said, yeah, they're all the same. No, they're not.
No.
That is categorically incorrect. They are not all the same, and that's what we're trying to get. It's such a new industry, and there's such a lot of misinformation out there that it's tough. You really have an uphill climb in order to educate people into there's junk out there. It's absolute junk. There's garbage. We can extract and we can do an absolute great job. Somebody else can extract and do an absolute terrible job. And it looks the same if you look at it, but it is not as effective in what you're taking it and how it works in the body system. We have people who are educated and that can actually explain it, but they can't do millions of people.
The connoisseur, the cannabis sommelier, if you will, understanding the difference in how it is produced, extracted, how to keep the ingredients in their truest form in order to get to that end result that you're looking for, whether it's health and well-being or, like you said, a fun-filled, fabulous weekend of safe use. I like what I'm hearing in terms of how, if I'm hearing correctly with Heritage Cannabis, you're kind of looking to create an industry leader in education, awareness, and follow through on product promise, which I think is so key in this industry where there is so much misinformation and snake oil, if you will, and voodoo.
You did a comparison there with wine, and we do that a lot. And it's I had it explained to me from one of my extraction experts. Says we can slide the alchemy scale by our processes, but you just simply can't make great cannabis from poor input material.
Right.
Same thing with wine. You can't make great wine from poor quality grapes. And it did help when they when they brought it down to a wine thing for me. That was
Right.
my, that's, I was like,
I
okay,
keep bringing the wine in. Next
yeah,
time we're going to meet at the pub, you and I,
you,
Clint. We're
you
going to
got
meet
it.
at the pub and we'll do the flight of beers, because we're that highbrow. Again, the stock symbol, the ticker CANN, easy to remember. CAN with two N's.
There you
It's
go.
like meeting the cool person at the coffee shop. CAN with two N's. Heritage Cannabis is the name of the company, and it is right at that moment in time where the growth is, as you said, the runway there for a very lofty takeoff, if you will. Can I ask a little bit about you in terms of your first investment for somebody watching right now who might just make Heritage Cannabis their first ever investment? What did you look for when you first invested in your first company, your first stock? I know it's a hard one, right?
Well, it's a very clear one because
Oh, okay.
I gambled all my student loan money when I was in school.
No way.
Yeah, it's my very first investment. I'm not kidding. I had studied by then. I had to look at newspapers back then. There was no such
Yeah.
thing as buying online. But I bought a company called WCN Investments. That'll never leave my head. It was back in the early '90s, and it it took just about a week before it dropped in half. So that was my first
Listen.
foray into investing, and yeah, I ended up losing just about all of my money before I fluked out on a penny stock. And I'm not kidding; it was a penny stock. It was trading at a half a cent, going to a cent, half a cent to a cent. So I bought it at half a cent, and lo and behold, I was able to ride a little ride up to about 14 cents on that stock, and
Wow.
it ended up it all that did was teach me that I didn't know anything.
And to not necessarily gamble with what you can't afford to lose in a student loan.
Well, it never actually occurred to me I might lose money. So that was a good lesson that I didn't have to ultimately learn, but it
Right.
was definitely something that shocked me. But your question is valid in today's day and age. You're watching these the the Reddit Robinhood traders, stuff like that.
GameStop. Yep. Yep.
And so it's a complete abandonment of fundamentals. Now, um, and that's taking a lot of people like me, and we're absolutely dumbfounded by it. We're sitting back and watching. It's happening to a few cannabis companies too, and we're looking at this, and I'm thinking to myself, it's not sustainable. They're buying companies at an X multiple. Makes sense. Buying companies at an infinite multiple because it'll never, or not it'll never make money, but it'll never make money to justify what it's now has a market cap.
Yeah.
To me, that's not how you run a company. That's not how you make money in the world. It never has been. And if we're seeing a fundamental shift in the world, I'd be shocked. We've seen bubbles before, and wow, this sure feels like one. So what you do is you build a company that has strong fundamentals, sales, profits, and you keep moving this thing forward. You keep making good decisions, and you don't waste the capital when you have it. You be good stewards of money, and you build a company that is sustainable. That's an overused word when it comes to corporate sustainability, and that's not how I'm meaning it here. This is a company that can ride out highs, ride out lows. We have products that are coming out to market for the recreational user right now that uh, we're being innovative about it. Throwing some out. We'll be putting out some news releases. The guys from Premium 5, which is a recent acquisition of ours, real creative, real innovators. Just love what they're doing on the recreational side, and they have just a whole slew of fans of their products that are going to be something that'll drive our company both revenue and in terms of, hey, these guys are thinking differently.
The brand that is associated with quality and the backup, the people, because that's what it always comes back to. The team that you have around you, the team that you have assembled, are so much part of the success of any company really. So I think that you need to check back with me and give me the latest on those releases as they happen. The first cup of coffee here on First Glance with Jody Vance, Clint. I hope many more to come in our future.
Sounds great. I'd be happy to come back and updating you on everything we're doing.
I'm in. Have a great day. And send me that nightshade. Nightshade?
Nightfall.
Nightfall. Yes, please.
Nightfall.